I know things about you people don't know, by the way.
Absolutely.
He said
mean,
you've been in and out of music. I'm wondering, were you ever out?
Well, I mean, people have their perception of these things. You know, when people don't see you frequently on the media, you know, they just feel you fizzle out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still do music. I can't live without music.
It's actually great
Do
to
you
see
guys know he's 40, by the way?
Yeah, and it's almost like an initiation into the men's gang. You know, kind of. You know, having this conversation because people don't kind of bring me to this sort of conversation because they feel like maybe GT doesn't have much to share, but they'll be shocked today, I guess.
Because I've always seen you as somebody that keeps things personal, doesn't really expose so many things. All you just do is showcase your talent. You're not living a wayward life. You're not making headlines. You're minding your business. So maybe that's why people just feel as if, does GT have an opinion? Or she just, you know?
I guess. I mean, and this sort of platform kind of give one the opportunity to share those.
So and you look good.
At this point, we need
you.
to ask you, what have you been up to, and what's your most latest project?
I dropped an EP last year.
Yeah,
I'm currently working on one. The title called Elodie. It's a 5-tracker EP. Amazing body of work, and I'm working on the next on the follow-up. You know, and it's going to be a banger.
All right, fantastic. I need to quickly apologize to the viewers for, starting the show a bit later than usual. But yeah, things happen. A lot of things happen. I can't get into all of that right now.
Of course you can.
Apologies. Meanwhile, before we dive into our quick fires, a little bird whispered into my ears to talk about a bit of football. Nigeria, Russia. I know you do football, you follow. I'm not sure about GC. I know GC was basketball.
This is the reason why
back in the days. That's what I remember.
Yeah, but this is like the reason why people don't invite me into this sort of
conversation.
Because I don't do not like I don't do sport, but football. I mean, sometimes I just wonder why are men, kicking leather, spherical objects all around, and people enjoy it. I'd rather play than watch.
Okay. So here's the thing, and I'm sure you can relate with this. You're very talented. You play the guitar. Not everybody knows how to play it.
I can play the guitar.
You understand? Some people would love watching you, but a lot of us like hearing you play it. So it's another gift. It's another talent that's outside your own walk of life. So you'd be wondering why are men gathering doing this. Some men are wondering why is this guy playing the guitar. You get me? So it just, like you said, it's a form of balance in general.
But music is like a natural thing, we all do music somehow, in churches, even at home, but football, what's it about?
I think we all have what we like, and it's that simple.
Well, football, let me just say this, we all kick something.
Okay, so at this point, we'll circle back to talking about the Nigerian-Russia.
So yeah, I was following up on the game on my way here. It was 1-1 before I don't know how the game ended. So and was actually Nigeria was tipped to lose the game to Russia. So now that you brought it up, I'm wondering, did anything happen after I saw it was 1-1?
All right, we'll get updates on that right after we go on this short break. It is still the Ultimate Men's Guy at the Black Table, and we'll see you right after this.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Okay, so there are a couple of things that we've done on the Black Table, which I need to bring you up to speed. We've got something called Quick Fires, whereby we go around social media and check out, what's trending, what makes, a lot of noise. We've got something called Just a Tip, which you will be giving us at the end of, all the discussion we have. And of course, we have Toast of the Week. And then we circle back to the main topic, which is our topic for the night.
Okay.
But yeah, before we go into all of that, our first quick fire today has to do with the senior pastor of the House on the Rock, Pastor Paul Adefaransi, who is currently trending after the video is on social media, trending of him flashing a weapon of some sort at the content creator who was filming his car in Lagos. According to reports, the pastor pulled out his weapon after a luxurious car spotter started filming him in public. Now, this video, it's allegedly, we don't know for certain.
Yeah.
We saw something that looked like a weapon, but we don't know for certain if that was a weapon. However, I just want to share a quick story about my experiences driving in Lagos. I have been robbed twice in traffic.
Wow.
While I was in my car, where, you know, I thought it was just any other day, and while I was driving, someone comes close to my window, knocks on it, and he has a gun. And at that point in time, on both occasions when that happened, I really felt bad, and I felt that if I had a way of protecting myself, things would have been different. Now, there's a lot of noise about the video and allegedly what was seen. But I feel, first things first, if this were to be any other person, first, you're a person before the office you take. And you protecting yourself should come first.
Okay, should I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, here's the thing. I share sentiments with the story you shared. My wife was robbed in traffic sometime, I think it was last year. Lucky for her, she didn't have valuables, but her wedding ring was taken. I had a friend a couple of years ago, a doctor, it was a big story, that was shot and killed in Lagos a long time ago. So I understand where you're coming from when you think about protecting yourself. Do you understand? But I think the way this plays out is a different scenario.
Okay, let's hear your thoughts.
It's a whole different scenario. The photographer or the socialite that records luxury cars and the rest wasn't posing a threat. All he was doing was recording. You get where I'm coming from? And if you saw how his car came out, so let's not look at him as a pastor. He's a man first before he's a man of God. If he was a regular person, you're coming out driving a nice Range Rover, love the car, and you didn't have to stop, you didn't have to do anything, you didn't have to brandish any weapon that was in your hands. I don't know what that was, I couldn't really identify it myself, as much as people are trying to zoom in. Do you understand? You could have just naturally just gone about your business. But then the scary thing is that if something had happened, and the weapon was used, or a weapon was used, that would have been a different story. Do you understand? So there was no intention of a crime, an intention of bodily harm. It was just an observation, because as you can see, he drove, slowed down and wound down, and then said whatever he said, wound back up and continued going. He didn't need to do all of that. Maybe he was trying to inquire what was going on or why he was being recorded, but there was just so much unnecessary stuff that happened in the video, and it was very fast. And what I try and tell a lot of people is that this just goes to show you how human pastors are. Like I said, they're men of God, which they're men first before they become men of God. They're as human as we are. So they could have the same fears, the same questions, and they're at risk to the same robberies that you were talking about. So in all honesty, like you said, if it wasn't him, would it have been a big deal?
Okay, so GT, yeah, nice summation, by the way, but you have been in the limelight for quite a while. And every now and then, do you ever feel like, people are trying to take things off you because of who they feel you are? And have you ever felt like you need to protect yourself?
Yes, several times. I mean, Lagos is not exactly a place you just walk around without being conscious of your environment. You can't, I mean, I was telling my wife yesterday that you can't really just walk the street of Lagos without having some form of, I hope they are not going to rob me.
Exactly, yes.
So I wish they can allow us to all carry arms. It would have been beautiful. At least we would have been able to protect ourselves. But for what happened, the video we saw, I don't know, because a lot happen on the media these days, and especially social media. Whether that was a toy gun or not, exactly. I don't know. But do we really know the exact thing he said to that guy?
Exactly.
I know that at the same time, I don't think he's the kind of man that will carry a toy and flash it like it's a real thing.
I still want to play the devil's advocate here. For someone who holds that type of office and is a public figure, I think to a large extent he's probably gone through one or two experiences. Because you see, I feel for anyone in this part of the world to have any form of weapon, it is definitely licensed. For anyone to carry one within their environs and within their own vehicle, it's because of certain traumas. I grew up, you're a first time guy now.
My God.
Remember once upon a time when they were robbing houses and they were pouring acids to get into people's home.
Yeah.
People were not comfortable. The police couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
By the time they came through, they'd done the damage. All sorts of things happened. So when you think about those experiences,
I think Nigeria people really
I'll
don't
get
know.
a gun if I have to.
Can I be honest with you? Nigeria really doesn't have gun control the way they should have it. There's a story, this thing just reminded me of a story that happened when I was in Port Harcourt in 2011 around the University of Port Harcourt. There were some cult boys that came out harassing someone with weapons. Do you understand? They were harassing some people around the school premises and they were attempting to shoot somebody. A bystander that was with his girlfriend saved a student's life by bringing out his weapon and shooting. Do you understand?
Okay.
One or two of those fraternity boys.
Okay.
When the authorities showed up, they were like, what happened? They saw some people shot and they saw him with a gun. They said, who are you? He said, he's the one that just protected this person and blah, blah, blah. They now said, what are you doing with a gun? And they shot him.
Wow.
Oh.
Do you understand? Said, what are you doing with a weapon? And they shot him in the leg and tossed him at the back of the van with the other people as well. And people were like, why did you shoot him? He's the one that just basically saved the day. And their argument was, who is he and why does he have a gun? How do we identify this person with a gun? Fortunately for us, in this video, we can identify who the pastor is. But like you said, for example, authorities should be able to say, can we speak to you? Was that a weapon? Do you have a license for that weapon? And so on and so forth. Because in Nigeria, there's certain weapons that domestic-wise, you are entitled to have in your homes. There's certain machinery, let me call them machinery, that you cannot possess. Certain automatic kind of things. If they catch you with an AK-47 as well.
Assault rifle.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
If they catch you with an AK-47, that's a different story completely. You're allowed certain shotguns that are sawed off or stuff like that in your homes and whatnot. But to be in your vehicle walking around town with if that was a gun.
I also feel this speaks to the hypocrisy of religion,
Yeah.
because for someone who is supposed to preach love, and talk about the teachings of Jesus Christ, I mean, I would have not expected reciprocatory. If someone attacks you, they say turn the other cheek.
I'm sorry.
Can I be honest with you?
Sorry.
There are limits to I'm
exactly.
not saying the Holy Spirit is not limited in anything, but at the same time, sometimes when you want to protect yourself, you never know. People are using, weapons of the world against you, and you at some point, do you understand?
What about turning the other cheek?
Well, bullets don't touch.
Turn the other cheek.
Do you understand?
Let's not turn the other cheek.
This weapon was fashioned against. This weapon was fashioned against him.
Really?
But I get where you're coming from.
But there was no weapon.
So I get where you're coming from, because people feel like people in his work of life, as a man of God, especially the caliber of man that he is, why is he holding a weapon? And I can guarantee you, there are many men of God, many pastors. They might not be in their cars, but if you come to their homes, you'll be surprised what they will do to protect their flock. So don't put them to the test, all in the name of that they're men of God. You get where I'm coming from? Anything can happen. You could shoot your gun at a pastor and nothing will happen to the pastor. You can shoot your gun to him and something will happen. But in all honesty, nobody wants to sit down and find out. And for somebody like himself that has experiences in the almighty United States of America, where gun control is crazy, you should be ready for anything. Somebody like myself, I'm not going to tell you if I have a weapon or not, but I always tell people I'm a father to 2 daughters and a shotgun. Anything can happen. You understand? So you always want to be prepared just in case than to be caught unaware.
Okay, so finally, before we move to our next quick fire, GT, do you think, based on the insecurity issues going on in the country, do you think majority of Nigerians, if given the the possibilities to have weapons to protect themselves, do you think majority of Nigerians will go for it?
Yeah, of course. It's not even whether they should go for it. I mean, not like they will. They should, if given the opportunity to. Because you see, these bad eggs amongst us, it's not like they are better than us. We can face them and finish them in a few minutes.
But here's the problem, and so I'm going to play devil's advocate here. There was a time I spent time in River State, sometime in my career, and there were times when certain people armed militia to do certain things, and you can't go back to come and take these arms away from them. What do you do when you give young people weapons, and at the same time the government creates scenarios where they can't take these weapons back and they now want to fight against the government? Just imagine if people at an End SARS convention were all armed. That would have been a different story every day. I don't think arming people is the solution. Gun control is very hard to literally control. So yes, everybody wants to protect themselves. So it's easy. That's why if I see you with a gun, my first thought, if I don't know you and you're a stranger, my first thought is this, no matter how good looking you are, is that a guitar or is that a rifle? You get me? My immediate response with my weapon is to use it.
But there's a problem. There's a security problem.
Yeah, there is.
There are some bullies who do all sorts of
But if we arm everybody, how do we know who's the armed robber?
We don't have to know.
But I think first things first, you have a right to protect yourself, your family, your property, and every other thing. And you see, in all of this, I think it has to do with the context. In this particular video, what we saw was someone showing that, hey, you can't do anything to me because I'm protected by what I have. And I don't see anything wrong in that, because in any other scenario, it could have been something else. But we saw that, and I just feel that maybe more Nigerians actually have, weapons protecting themselves. And if I had a weapon when I was robbed on both occasions while I was in my car, perhaps things would have played out differently.
Yeah, but then at the same time, one thing about gun laws, when you hear about concealed weapons, sometimes if you have a weapon, you need to let people know I am armed.
Yeah, so I'll just
do you understand?
The same thing, like
I am armed.
Don't come near
do you
me,
understand?
man.
So first of all, you need to understand, don't mess because I am armed. But if everybody is walking on that, and that's the problem with gun control in America as well. In the UK, it's a different story. That's why most of them carry knives and sharp objects. It's good to, now when you're arming yourself doesn't necessarily always mean a gun. People carry knives, daggers, machetes, machetes, cutlasses, different kinds of tools. I had a friend that was an engineer. He used to walk around with a sharp screwdriver.
But let's circle back a bit. GT, you're driving, you're in your car, and someone is walking towards your car, recording. How would you react?
I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
In fact,
because you're a celebrity.
Yeah, but the Almajiri situation, when they just at every traffic stop, they just approach you. I find that disrespectful sometimes too. Because you are encroaching on my privacy.
Exactly.
But you see, this is Nigeria. As long as they are not attacking me in any way, there's no cause for alarm.
Okay. All right. With that being said, we'll move on to our next quick fire. Let's hit some of the week's most reckless headlines, the ones you won't hear at your HR-approved morning meetings. Chad bans Americans from Chad. Petty levels after Donald Trump banned over 40 countries, including Chadians. The Chad president, Mahamat Debi, just looked at the U.S. and said, as you no gree for us, we no go gree for you. Tit for tat, African dads will be proud. Now, we all know what's going on with Donald Trump and, him being trigger happy about certain things. Of course, it started with the tax that he levied on different countries across the world. Now, he's brought out a list of countries where he's giving travel ban, including Chad. Now, the president of Chad has retaliated by saying, if you're going to ban us, we can as well ban you. Do you think that's justified? Let me ask you first.
Yeah, absolutely, it's justified. I mean, no one has the monopoly to all this form of decisions, you know. If Americans are saying don't come to us, we can always also say don't come to us too.
Yeah.
You know, and Trump has every right to make the decisions that he has made. You know,
being the first man of the
so
country.
I really don't see anything wrong with that. I'm sure he has his reasons.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure he's making the best decision for America,
country,
not the entire world. You know, so hey, it's fine.
It's interesting because, gang, I need to ask you this: do you think there's some form of abuse of power? Because earlier in the week, someone and I were having this conversation, and the person was like, you know what, since Donald Trump wants to play things like this, you know what, we, the rest of the world, we don't want to trade in dollars anymore. Let's trade in another currency, and let's see how it plays out. Do you think that's the solution?
Well, that isn't the solution. You know, it's a two wrongs right situation. For me, I would have loved, this is just me because, you know, the way my mind works. I would love to see certain countries take steps and decisions like this before America takes their own decisions. Because it's like a spill-off. It's like America runs the world. When they now say your country is this, that's when you now decide to. It would have been lovely to hear a country come out first before Donald Trump talked about his taxes on certain things to China and whatnot. It would have been great for China to come out first and say, this is what we think about America or Trump's regime, and say this is what we think before America retaliates. Now everybody's retaliating to America. That means America still comes first. America is still being seen as the superpower. How many Americans or how much of America is actually involved in Chad as a whole?
Yeah.
Do you understand? So one will say, how effective is this ban? Like if Americans wanted to come, you won't let them in. If people brought dollars to your country, you won't accept.
But are Americans the biggest manufacturers of anything?
No, but here's the funny thing. They're the biggest hype men in the world.
Okay.
Do you understand? Because they control stuff.
Absolutely.
You get where I'm coming from? It's just like even here in Nigeria now, if we say, there's no way if I go to Nigeria, how they tell you that if you don't see an Igbo person there, leave that place.
Yeah.
Do you understand? You expect to have their presence everywhere because of who they are.
Okay.
So they're a world power, no doubt.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, they're a world power, no doubt.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the fact that people wait for them to make these decisions before they attack them. We've been speaking about the dollar in general when it comes to exchange rates, how we do our business internationally.
And last week we still talked about the fact that visa fees should be returned to people
Exactly.
when they're granted visas.
We've been talking about even currencies in Africa, West Africa or an African currency, things that help the market better. But of course, the powers that be don't let these kind of things happen, or it will take time before these kind of things actually do exist. So the almighty dollar is there internationally, used in all sorts of trade. And before you can even initiate something like, let's no longer invest in the dollar, that'll be a whole different story entirely that we won't see in our lifetime.
Can we afford not to, you know, demand the dollar?
No, we can't.
We can't. We can?
No, we cannot.
Yeah, that's
in our lifetime, we can't. Because
why can't we?
In our lifetime?
Yeah, why can't we?
It's because of,
like, who makes the
everything
rules?
Is tied
If I say I don't want to trade in dollars anymore. So the thing is this, remember Brexit? Remember when the euro came up? You see, I feel in this part of the world, generally, we've allowed the Western world dictate how our economy should be run.
Exactly.
We've allowed the Western world dictate what we import and the cost and the price, and we've allowed them control what we do. If every African country says today, you know what, yeah, we like you, but you know, in the next 10 years, this is what we want to do with our economy, this is what we want to do as a nation or as a continent, things would change.
No doubt that would change, but the problem is, look at our leaders. Is that what our leaders are really striving to get? You get me? If you're looking at a country that's based on crude oil and exportations here and there, it's all done in dollars.
Absolutely.
So the funny thing is, are you going to close down your country completely before you exchange in all of these imports and exports?
But I'm saying, why in dollars?
Because that's
what the business world has generally accepted.
But I'm sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was a standard set at a particular time because it was working. But now that multiple tariffs have been tossed around to different countries, multiple countries also have a right to refuse and say, this is how we want to do business.
Let me give you an example. I was about to say something I shouldn't have said.
Okay.
I don't mean this the way I'm saying it, but let me just say it. as useless as the Naira is, do you think other African countries want to trade in Naira?
That's a lovely question.
So in Africa itself, if you look at the currencies in Africa, do you remember where Ghanaian cedis were compared to Naira? Look at what has happened now.
Yeah.
Rand itself compared to Naira, look at where it is now. If Africans decide which one of these currencies should we adopt, that will become another story.
Yeah.
Everybody will be like, why am I? Naira is a Nigerian thing. If we adopt the Naira, then other African countries will be influenced by the Naira. And we know about Nigeria's embezzlement and the way corruption has eaten deep into this country. If you say you want to use Rand, that's another currency itself. So we don't even have that camaraderie between ourselves as African countries to come out and say, let's create a certain currency. Even ECOWAS is struggling to say, let's have a unified currency for the West African region.
Yeah.
Let's have a unified currency.
That's been on for many years now.
For as long as I can remember.
I think it's a demand situation, really. Because
so everybody also, truth be told, we look to our colonizers, we look to the Western world as superior.
So some will say, somehow, we're still colonized because we have still been dictated to.
Remember last week, the other guy that was saying that Africa needs to be recolonized.
Oh, yeah.
So the problem is the way we see things. And we are not as independent as we actually should be. We are still dependent on certain things. I've said this on the Nigerian front so many times. I can't imagine that since 1960 till now, how hard is it to have a refinery?
Absolutely, it's ridiculous.
Or have one, or two, or three, or four, or five. How hard is it to refine your own natural resource? That you have to extract it, export it, and get back the finished product, and import back the finished product. So where we are, I don't know whether we're going backwards or forwards. So there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that we don't know of. And hopefully if we ever get into those positions, we might be able to.
But even we as a people, do we demand our own products? Do we demand them realistically?
Well, we demand them, but the truth be told, some of our products are, in terms of quality, might not be as strong, do you understand, as other things. And it's always like, you know how you always feel your neighbor is doing better than you, but you never really know till you go to your neighbor's house.
I mean, which answers why the dollar is being demanded.
Yeah, but I feel that if we really take a deep dive and look at all of these things, you mentioned the fact that we have, our products are a bit, they're not up there when it comes to standard.
Substandard.
I think that's where the government needs to help people, and of course the finance sector.
But like I told you, the government now, to an extent, is a stooge to other higher governments.
The thing is this, I feel education-wise, we don't prioritize that, and it's very important because if you go to countries like China, they've prioritized education up to the sense that they know that that is the future. They're building technology, they're advanced, and they know that knowledge is key. And
when you look at the Asian market, that you mentioned China now, China are not as dependent as African nations are.
Exactly.
We are also dependent on the Chinese.
Once upon a time, they were dependent. And they got to a point, they stopped, they recalibrated, and they were like, this is what we want to do with our nation. And look at where they are today.
What comes first, really? Is it the capacity of the youth to produce these things, or the enabling environment?
For me, I think it's identifying what the problem is and looking for a solution.
Are people, are they creative enough?
Yes, they are.
Because you see, even in situations where we do not have funds to get things done, people who are really creative would look for ways to get it done.
Yeah.
We are not creating iPhones. We are not making,
Yeah. But it's still a failure of what the system is offering.
But it's hunger and poverty.
Yeah.
If you go to my state, there was a time the mineral resource Tantalite was a big deal. It's also known as the Tin City as well. There are a lot of mineral resources that are there that people are mining locally. They are mining locally. Lives have been lost in mining some of these minerals. Certain things that you dig into, tunnels you dig into, collapse on people, and it becomes your burial ground. So people rush to get those things just to make money, to live a certain kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I think it's the hunger and poverty and situation in the country. If people were not that hungry or that poor, that they become desperate, they'll be able to focus on other things in life that can be used to advance and develop certain people. when you don't belly full, you get where I'm coming from? Then you not be stressing yourself on. Then you can sit down and be like, oh, how do I make a table better than this? But you haven't even eaten yet, you're thinking about a table. So as long as there's hunger and poverty in the land, it's hard to actually get people to think outside the box.
But adversity is what, makes great men.
Because people live day to day.
All right, so let's move on to our next quick fire. Now, let's get controversial because it's, of course, the black table.
And of course
that's what we do best. So we're asking a lady or a guy for their body count. Is it still a valid question, or is it insecurity taking, place? I feel like if you're asking, you better be ready to, answer to. Some of you have body counts higher than your phone numbers, and you're out here interrogating people. We've got a vox pop, and we will check out the video now to hear what people think about, this interesting question about body count.
See, body count matters. It's not an insecure question. It matters.
I think if your man is asking such question, it still borders on trust. Because I feel if you trust your woman, if you believe that what happened in the past should stay in the past, and I see no reason why you should still bring up the issue of body count in a relationship that is supposed to be hinged on trust.
Body count is very necessary because you won't know the type of person when you want put for house. Because if the person get plenty body count, like say she don't work out. If you be waiting for the call food, when we say the thing they do any small thing we pass, you won't climb up. I bet ass.
Yes, it's my I'm very
I'm still a very staunch advocate of saying that whatever happens in the past happens. I don't care about what has happened in the past.
To be very frank, there should be no point in even asking the question anyway.
Just ringing in my head, this guy left of body count, so who am I?
If you ask people like us, we'll tell you, body count 2, body count 1. But when you know that they are accountable, you always have issue with it.
It's also understandable because of the culture we have.
So me no go carry Tokumbo put for house.
I've met a guy before that says that he has, I think, like 15 body count, but that he will always tell whoever he wants to get married to that he has 5. And in my mind, the guy was saying that he cannot marry any woman with more than 5 body count. And I'm saying, who are you deceiving again? I mean, if people are not going to be honest about their body count, then damn the question.
But I advise every intending couple, make sure you know the body count of your partner before, walking down the aisle.
All right, interesting. I'm just going to go straight at it and ask you, what is your body count, GT?
Man.
Honest answer.
Why do you want to know?
I mean, we're talking about it. I can tell you mine is just 3.
Mine is just 1.
Nobody is honest about
this. Is the only body I can count.
Really?
Yeah, I can count 3. Body, mind, and soul.
Oh,
and that's why sometimes people what?
Your body count.
I've not done anybody. My body count is 0. Myself, I never count finish. That's why people always say the dishonesty in body counts. That formula they used to say, guys used to brag about their body count. So whatever number they tell you, divide it by 3. Ladies used to cut down their body count. So whatever number they tell you, multiply it by 3. So it's a scary place to be. I don't think the body count discussion, I think, should have died a long time ago.
Honestly.
You know what? I feel if you're starting something with someone, whatever their sexual preferences or experiences has been, should not hold ground as of where they are.
Okay, I want to say something that might be, I don't want it to sound controversial, but I think that body count people are more concerned about body counts when it comes to women.
And men, because women are concerned
let me tell
about
you,
the number of
women women are concerned about a man's body count because they wonder if he can be faithful. But here's the thing, a lot of women, and I stand to be corrected, a lot of women want a guy that's experienced in that field.
Absolutely.
He's experienced in the bedroom.
Oh, really?
He knows how to do whatever it is he knows how to do to please me. But they forget that the guy would get that experience
with someone else,
with different bodies. So they want you to learn the craft, learn the art, know how to execute, and come and execute it on me and only me. So when you get to me, be my final bus stop. Be my last point. and then keep on giving me all these skills and whatever.
So if GT, for instance, tells a woman like, oh, you know, I have a body count of 50, is that negative or positive?
Honestly, it has never mattered to anyone.
Yeah, but do you think women will think it's a negative or a positive?
They think it's a positive thing, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
he has skills. These guys, they play.
Oh, he's got skills. They play and string the guitar.
And honestly, yeah, no woman wants to be with a woman that, with a man that other women are not demanding.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You know, they like it when everybody like you too. You know, and they are the ones who can get you. You know, so I think the topic is for people who don't want to stay in the present. They want to remain in the past, because there's the space for forgiveness. There's a space for mistakes. There's a space for, you know, so why should you be bothered about you're meeting someone new and you're focused on what they did many years ago?
So, but from the male perspective, like I said earlier on, so when you hear about a woman's body count and you see that the number is very high, you start asking yourselves, because for me, like, sex is very intentional and mutual with consent. You'll now be wondering, your body count is 100 and you're not into commercial sex work. You get me? Your question now is,
that's quite a lot.
So, you know, I'm saying, for example, and here's the funny thing, women can have, or are entitled, I don't know how to say it, but it's obvious that women can get more body counts than men.
Oh, yeah. I think so too.
You get me? So it can't be a competition. I can't sleep with 10 women in one day, but a woman can sleep with 100 guys in one day if she wanted to.
Remember the story trending just
do you understand?
Some weeks ago.
Just based on the anatomy and you know, that kind of thing. So at the end of the day, it's like, if you now see that a woman has been consensual with 100 guys, you will now be wondering, okay, why? Are you that easily accessible? And even if this is your final bus stop, the question now is that, what is it about me that will keep you satisfied, and none of those guys are sitting in the picture? Now, both gender-wise, if you hear that my body count is 50, you might be wondering, okay, are any of those 50 people still in your life? Are they still accessible to you and whatnot? So it happens to both genders.
But should it count?
So here's the funny thing. I would never ask your body count if the cherry has already been popped.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Do you understand? You know what you're doing. You've given consent to this. Let's go. That was a great time. I don't care how many people you satisfied. I am satisfied now.
Absolutely.
You can't open a shop and say, how many customers have you had? And because you've had so many customers, I'm not going to shop there anymore. There's a reason why people are shopping at that place. So just enjoy your moment and your shopping experience. That's
I think that's fair enough. Let's quickly dive into what social media asks for us, and then we can, talk about a few more things. At Shegun says, whether that was fake or real, I feel that was wrong from a man of God. It wasn't that he was ambushed or anything. Now, wow, that's talking about the first quickfire we took, the story of, Pastor Defarasi. And of course, we have at Benga says, threatening anyone with a supposed firearm is illegal in this country. Why self-acclaimed pastor go do that kind of thing? How? I'm sure it's a licensed weapon. If you have a licensed weapon, then it's good to go.
Or even a toy gun.
Or a toy gun. We don't know. Allegedly.
See,
we don't know.
For me, it's, listen, I'm from J-Town. And ever since the Just Crisis that happened back in the days, that was not looking at whether you're a man of God or anything. Everybody just needed to be on their toes. Dude, protect yourself.
Yeah.
Man of God or not. Protect yourself.
They should set examples, though.
Yeah. And then we have at
and just die for the people, Abi.
Jesus died for the people.
No.
And that was his sacrifice. After him, nobody else was supposed to die.
We're supposed to act like him.
I will carry.
We're supposed to act like him.
You know that point when Jesus told God, when he was crying to his father and was saying, does this really have to happen? And it was like his will had to be done.
To show an example, right?
Yeah.
And we are supposed to be Christ-like.
Just imagine if there were guns in those days.
We are supposed to be Christ-like.
Remember what Peter did? The guy's ear that he cut off.
Well,
if there were guns those days, you would have been...
Peter wasn't the yardstick for Christianity. Jesus is.
And after he died,
nicely put. Yeah.
Do you know what my fear is in all of this? As much as I'm in support, as much as I'm in support of this, what if he had used the weapon?
We would beat him.
But he didn't.
But that's what I'm saying.
Why would you use a weapon?
If he had used the weapon, it would have been a different story.
Yeah.
People should stop looking at it as man of God. They should first of all look at a man driving a nice car in Lagos. Somebody was recording it.
Unprovoked.
Who probably felt threatened.
Who probably felt threatened.
We all can feel threatened.
So, I don't know.
And if we're armed, we'll all do what we need to do.
I still feel, because I've gone through that particular type of experience, I understand. I've gone through it. I thought it was harmless. The first time it happened, I was like, oh, God, this happened to me, blah, blah, blah.
But you said, they hear words.
And it happened the second time. And I'm like, oh, for real? And trust me,
but
it's something that I would do.
But see, listen, a pastor carrying a weapon, that shouldn't be a problem. He's just going to introduce you to the Lord directly.
Jesus never carried a weapon.
Do you understand? No, but this is the direct introduction to you and the Heavenly Father. If you're ready to meet your Maker,
there you go.
The pastor is the right person to send you.
Jesus never operated like that, and
but that was 2,000 years ago.
Well, we are still following his footsteps.
Okay. 2,000 years ago.
We are still following his footsteps. It's not like it has changed.
Would you like to meet Jesus, GT?
Well, I believe that I'm
Pow! There you go.
Okay, so let me take a few more feedback, and then we'll do our toast of the week, and of course just a tip. So we have at Jumoke. She says, is that GT the guitar man? Abi, my eyes is paining me. Oh my. Hello, sire. It's so good to see you on the black table. Yeah, that's from Matt Jumoke. And then we have at Said. Said says, this thing Chad is doing should be done by all African countries. Was it the president of Zambia, who ordered America to refund its citizens money if they weren't going to, get approved visas? It's about time. We talked about this last week. We talked about this last week. How we all have our different opinions about how, if you're not getting a visa, your visa fees should be returned. And I think it's exploitation. I think so. Because if you're not going to give people visas based on the criteria, you should let them know that you are not qualified, and not let them spend so much money. Even though you say it's processing, it's not processing. If you tell me that, okay, if you're this color, if you're wearing this and you have that, you're not qualified to, get a visa, it's that simple. So that person needs to go and attain all of that before you come to the embassy.
We argued this, it's the price you have to pay for wanting to jackpot.
Yeah, I know, but I just feel like if we really, really want to, peel off all the layers, it's exploitation.
It only means they don't want you in their country. Simple.
Yeah, so why are they taking your money?
Stay in your country. Because you are desperate to leave.
Here's the funny, it's funny that we say that, and I should have made this point last week. It's funny that we say that because we're looking at, the UK or the US. Or other countries per se. But do you forget that certain people want to come to Nigeria, and there are things that you pay to get into this country?
Yeah.
Sure. Although I don't know how often we deny people entry when people can literally just walk in. You get where I'm coming from? But nobody really looks at it like that. What about the charges Nigeria or any African country or any country in general puts for people getting into their countries? Until we create that global economy, that's when the world's going to end though. But when we create that global economy that makes it so easy to just go from point A to point B, one currency, one this, one passport, fly everywhere and be free, and it's almost like heaven on earth, and then kaboom, it's over. But until we get there.
I also think it's a way of, separating the serious ones from, because if you allow everybody apply and you give everyone visas to America or UK, America go full.
But okay, we could go on and on about this and argue about it. But yeah, it's that time of the show that we need to ask you for just a tip, which is your advice on everything we talked about.
The briefest advice you could give.
Don't put everything to
our listeners.
Yeah.
On either what we discussed or something in general. Some words of wisdom from the GT guitar man.
So I thought the topic we were going to be discussing was on
I know.
was on men and and how they feel, their emotional availability, you know. And I think a lot of men are facing a lot of issues, you know, silently that nobody talks about, you know. And let's not just forget that the emotionally unavailable man is also a product of the woman, because all of us, we are a product of women. Now them raise us. If we have a dysfunctional society, it was created by women. Let's face it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's almost like a vicious cycle when women are not treating their men the same way they treat their children. You know, and I think true love for a woman is the love of a woman to a child. You know, and I wish women can extend that love to their husbands too. You know, and because our children, they learn from what we do, not what we say. So I think women should be kinder to our men, because we go through a lot that we hardly speak about. You know, men are told to be silent, you know, just keep quiet, and you know, and then we say that they are emotionally not available. You know, and how would you provide and also be at home? You know,
it
so
has to be one for the other.
I love this tip, and it seems it came from a personal place.
There's a lot of men going through a lot that they dare not talk about because they are told to be strong.
Permit me to ask, and I hope I don't extend the show.
Okay.
Are you going through a lot? Are you going through something?
No. I'm going through.
You're being a man now. You're saying no, but I'm sure there is something.
We're not told to talk.
You know, that was auto response, by the way. I think every man is going through a lot. Do you want to ask me?
I'm sure you are too. but we're meant to smile. We're meant to act like tough, you know, and so that's the society you've created, you know.
Thank you, GT. Thank you for the honest feedback, and thank you for the tip, even though that was way more than the tip. Well, thank you.
You actually almost went in.
At this point, it's time for us to say goodnight. But before we do that, we'll do, you know, our toast of the week. And I would like if we could toast to GT on his up and coming EP.
Toast to GT the guitar man.
Yes. To great music.
Absolutely.
To long life. Fantastic.
Support the real talent.
Yes, support.
This is the real talent out there. Not those people that are influencing your kids in the wrong way. This is real talent. Shout out to GT. He's been in the game for
absolutely 20
almost 2 decades, right?
Yeah, 25 years now.
25 years. Oh my
sorry,
God.
20.
20 years, yeah.
Oh my God.
20.
All right, so thank you all for joining us for this edition of The Black Table. Remember, the darker the night, the brighter the stars. We'll see you same time, same station next week. Do have a good night.
The blacker the drink.
I left my daughter in the care of a governess. She is white. Mariana is well aware she can't be associated with those people. When Mariana gets married, all of this will be in the hands of your future son-in-law.
Papa, I don't want an arranged marriage, and I don't want to be sent to you.
I want your son to keep away from my daughter.
I want to sue my father.
You don't have the nerve to do that.
Every problem has a solution.
Just say the word, and I will do it. No one has to find out. We won't speak of it again. Stop right there! No, don't shoot! This is real gold.
This chain belonged to my mother. When it's around my neck again, that means we'll never have to be apart.
Watch out!